So I'm sitting here and I'm actually super excited to film this one because I'm losing my mind. I finally found the perfect example why I have been screaming about envy these past few months. Every single day, I'm writing about self accountability, about taking responsibility, killing your old identity, about owning your shit on threads. And every single time that I write about jealousy or envy, these posts always perform well. But then there's also another side that keep asking me, why are you always falling back on jealousy? And then they say it's not that deep or jealousy is normal. But then I'm watching Tupac get shot. I'm watching Biggie get killed only 6 months after, and the industry blamed gang violence. But I'm sitting here watching Diddy's face, this whole timeline, the story, and I finally saw it. This is exactly what happens when you don't take envy seriously. And I know this might sound extreme, but it's real, it happened, and the only difference between them and us is money and fame. And I am not here to talk about conspiracy theories. This is more about what happens when you want something that someone else has so badly that you're willing to destroy everything, including yourself, to get it. I create content about self accountability because I have lived both sides. And this story is exactly why I'm never going to shut up about envy. I was freelancing in toxic hospitality environments where I have experienced envy, that people were envious about me. And that's also the reason why I left, because it became so toxic. But at the same time, I was already posting on threads 2 months, not consistent, but I was showing up, but yet I was copying other creators. And every time I saw someone blew up or going viral, I always had a strange feeling. It was not hate, but I wanted what they have. And I told myself that it was motivation and that I'm just competitive and that their success had nothing to do with my bitterness at that moment. But I was lying to myself. And here's what I learned the hard way: jealousy is the fear of losing something that you already have. And envy is about the fear of wanting something that you don't have, that someone else's has. And envy is way more dangerous because it requires someone else to lose for you to win. But envy is actually not always bad because there are two types of envy. So the first one is benign envy, the positive one. It means that you want something what someone else has, but you're willing to work for it and to take it as inspiration to get it. But then there's also malicious envy. So you would say, I want what they have, so I'm going to destroy them. 2 months ago, I had to get real with myself. I left the toxic hospitality job and I finally sit with myself, and the only option was, okay, I'm going to make this work. Before that, I spent more time copying other creators, analyzing them, searching for quotes on Instagram to copy it. And I lost so much time and energy because of that. And I even knew their posting schedule more than myself. And that's also when I realized that I was choosing distraction over creation. And that's exactly what killed Tupac and Biggie. Diddy had everything: money, a lot of it. He had power over the whole industry. He had bad boy records, he had control, the perfect image, he had the brand, and also his well known parties. Literally everything that you could buy. What Tupac had was authenticity. He spoke from real pain, real poverty, real rage. He had this street credibility that you can't manufacture. He also had the hood's trust, something that was earned, not bought. He had emotional power. He could move generations with his words. He had a political voice that actually meant something. He had fans that truly cared about him because he was raw and unfiltered, so he had connections. So people didn't just hear him, they felt him. People didn't just respect him, they would literally die for him. And that's something that no amount of money could take away from him or could buy it. In hip hop, realness is currency. So Tupac was the richest man alive, while Diddy had all the money but no soul. And this might sound familiar, right? Like, how many empires are we building while we are hating on the creators that are or that show up as themselves? And the thing is, Diddy represented the industry of hip hop, and Tupac represented the soul of hip hop. And when those two things clash, someone has to lose, and envy makes sure both sides loses. In November 1994, Tupac got shot in New York, and he believed Biggie and Diddy were behind it. So publicly, he calls them out, he named their names, he even made a diss track about it, he humiliated them on interviews. And here's why it mattered. Diddy lost his face, he lost his reputation, he lost respect, credibility, like literally everything that his empire was built on: image, control, and power. And I have been there on both sides. At my previous job, I was losing my mind at some point. I always told myself, okay, there's no competition, I'm going to leave them where they at. But somehow I got competitive. I was constantly thinking about it more than I actually wanted, so it started to affect me as well. And at the same time, on Threads, for example, I started to recognize these patterns in myself. I was not hating them, but I recognized that I wanted what they had. So I had to make a decision for myself. What type of envy do I feel and what am I going to do about it? So let me show you how this exactly escalates, because whether you are a Diddy or just a content creator scrolling on Instagram at 3 a.m., the pattern is the same. So stage one is recognition. You see something that someone has that you don't. Diddy saw Tupac's realness, his connections, his soul. Me, I saw creators with huge amount of followers, and they actually cared about their message. Stage two is comparison. So you start comparing yourself to them and you come up short. So no matter how much money Diddy made, he would never get what Tupac had. And no matter how many creators I copied, I would never own their genuine voice. And stage three is resentment. You start to hate them for what they have. Every Tupac interview reminded Diddy of what he didn't have. And every viral post of authentic creators felt like an attack on my fake positivity content. Stage 4 is justification. You start to convince yourself that these people don't deserve it. So the industry said Tupac was reckless, that he was dangerous, that he was out of control. But then I said that creators were lucky, that they actually don't know what they're doing, and that their advice is too harsh. And the last and the fifth stage is destruction. So you decide that the only way to win is to make them lose. So this whole East versus West side completely exploded into actual violence. Tupac got shot, and only 6 months later, Biggie got shot as well. So it escalated that quick. I didn't kill anyone, but I was killing my own growth. Every minute I spent hoping that they would fail, I was losing time to build on my own. And this is exactly the reason why I'm constantly making content about this, about taking responsibility for your own life. Because I see so many people being stuck at stage 3 and 4, heading straight for 5, but they don't even realize how much time and energy it costs them. So 2 months ago, I left hospitality. So I was sitting there with my small online business, and I made this decision for myself that I had to make it, that there's no other option. So I also took a small break to find for myself what do I want? What do I want to talk about? Because I was done being jealous of people, their content. So I wanted to create my own voice. I wanted to be authentic. I want to be fully myself. So I simply made the decision to kill my old identity before 2026 hits. and it was the best decision I've ever made. First of all, I stopped doing the soft takes. I stopped making content to make me likable. I stopped making content for everybody. So I started writing about hard truths. I started writing about topics that most people avoid. For example, personal accountability. Not everyone is ready to hear that because it's harsh. But it's exactly what I stand for. Nobody wants to hear it, but it's what everybody needs. And you know what happened? So, exactly 2 months ago, when I left and went all in on my personal brands, my follower count grew so fast. Like right now, I'm at 15k followers, and I only started 5 months ago. And when I reached 10k, I immediately made my first product, and I didn't even do like a crazy launch, but I got 8 sales in only 1 week. It happened because I was finally being real about my own transformation. From talking about envy, about taking responsibility, from talking about real life challenges that we all face every single day, from talking about the brutal stuff I have been going through my whole life. And that's also the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, and it's paying off because I'm finally myself. So yeah, you are not Tupac, you are not Diddy, but you have your own way of experiencing this. So you gotta ask yourself, who are you envious of? What is something that you want that you don't have but see in others? And are you actually building it for yourself, or are you slowly hoping that they will fail? Because it is something that is actually holding you back from achieving anything. Also ask yourself, is there someone in my circle right now that you get this weird feeling when you're hanging out with them? Because it doesn't matter on which side you are, envy will always be dangerous. So you have two choices, and I've taken both, so I know exactly where this leads. Path 1 is benign envy. So what are you going to do with it? Like, are you going to build? When you choose this path, you're taking it as information. You're seeing it as inspiration to grow even more. You take it as something powerful that leads you. You actually look up to these people. So you're going to observe them. You might become friends or business partners. So they inspired you to build your own authenticity instead of trying to ruin theirs. And the second path is malicious envy. So you talk shit about people behind their backs, you gossip, you try to sabotage them. You might celebrate them when they fail, you might think more about their lives than your own, and you're spending more energy on their downfall than you rise, convincing yourself that you're being real while you're actually being bitter. And this path ends in only one way: you both lose. And Diddy's mistake was not jealousy, because it's normal, we're human. Like, all of us feel jealousy. The only mistake is that you think that you can destroy someone else to get what they have. But it doesn't work like that. Like, you can copy everything, you can try to destroy their lives. But if there's one thing you can take away from them, is their aura, their authenticity. So that's not how it works. You can only build your own. And even though if it works, it's still wrong, and karma will catch you. So we only have a few days left, and it's almost 2026, so I would say take it seriously and start being honest to yourself. Start asking yourself who you want to be, who you want to become, and what you're willing to sacrifice for it. And also ask yourself if you're being envious right now, because we all are in some type of way. We are. But stop using it as something that can destroy you, and start using it as power to create a life that you want, and start admiring people for their work, because they're showing you that everything is possible. It's literally your own potential tapping on your shoulder like, hey, you're jealous because you know you can do it as well.